Ding dong! Your confidence is at a high. Hands in pockets. Smile on smug. You've got this in the bag. How could you not? You totally hit it off with her last week. The door creaks open. The artificial yellow of a lamp from inside breaks into the cool semi-dark of evening outside. Octavia rubs her eyes and looks up at you. Her mane is an absolute mess.
Did you forget?
You ask, a little off guard.
Forget what? Why are you waking me up at this hour?
It's 6 o'clock on a Sunday.
It's Sunday?
Her eyes bolt open.
I've got a date with a cute guy today. Move out of the way, I'm late.
Well, don't worry, you found him.
You say proudly, thumbs sliding into your belt loops. She gives you a confused look.
It's true what they say.
She mutters.
What is?
You lean in to listen.
People look better in your memories of them.
She says with a sarcastic huff. She turns her back to you, but leaves the door open. You can't help but have a little smile when you walk in behind her. She heads deeper into the house, past the messy living room and kitchen. You notice some magazines on the coffee table. The whole thing is cluttered with them.
Hey, need me to brush your mane, little horsey?
You call jokingly. You don't wait for a reply, rather choosing to indulge your curiosity. These magazines seem old. Articles about Octavia, her performances, pictures of her. She's pretty photogenic, and look at all this high praise. Several different critics all showering music with adverbs and describe just how good it is, and how much you need to hear it. Something is off though. These pages are worn, some of them print on the newspapers rubbed out. Suddenly the date catches your eye. The most recent one was from 2 years ago, and it's almost the smallest mention of her. You scan them. It's like a timeline almost. How did she go from cover material to barely worth a sidebar in less than a year? You toss the scraps back on the table when you hear her clopping back inside. She looks at you lazily, but you can see right past that thin veneer of cold carelessness.
Aren't you gonna wear something aside from a bow tie?
She looks down at the black, poorly tied thing.
No, I'm a pony. I've got no need for clothes.
Well, now I feel a little overdressed.
You comment, looking down at your simple but body-covering clothes.
Shall we?
You question, a slight brow and hand gesture towards the door.
A myriad of carnival amusements await our beck and call.
Yeah, let's get this show on the road.
She strides past you, waving mockingly at your superfluous motion. Following close behind her, you close the door when she seemingly forgets.
Whoa.
She says softly, surprise showing in her voice. Wow, indeed. Just around the corner they had set up the festival, stretching several blocks both ways. The sights and sounds captivating, spreading the celebration of the warm weather to parts of town not done up in decoration. Like a light bulb in a dark room, washing over things that didn't want to feel happy with its inherent excitement and joy. You feel like you are nudging a wallflower to the center of the dance floor in a way. The notion that Octavia didn't get to enjoy herself much seemed to make sense to you. If you're reading her right, the pair of you are more similar than appears. She soaks in the bright, multicolored lights, smells and sounds, cheers of laughter, cooking food, the exchange of hard-earned bits for long-lasting fun. And you soak her in. Her expressions and movements, it's more interesting than pinwheel or carnival treats by far. To you, at least.
I think they've got more stands set up this time.
She says.
Have you eaten yet? Maybe we should get a snack.
Sure. What do you like?
You look around, it's all the classics. Popcorn, caramelized roasted nuts, cotton candy, scruffy but happy looking carnies. They've even got them in Equestria. serve their wares at overly expensive prices to eager children and reluctant parents alike. The lines were so long and you were feeling pretty hungry.
I'd like...
You cut yourself off when you realize Octavia is gone. You zip your head around, trying to find her.
Looking for me?
She says through clenched teeth, 2 cones of cotton candy in her mouth. You spin on a heel to find her behind you.
You are taking too long. So I snagged some of these.
You took one of them from her mouth.
How did you get these?
You ask skeptically, the pair of you opting to walk around the quieter back streets to avoid the crowds.
I just walked around the back of the cart and grabbed 2. They didn't even see me.
She says coolly, taking a bite out of hers. You think for a moment.
Isn't that stealing?
Au contraire. Not if I left some money in their tip jar.
All that without being seen.
I have my talents.
She says with a false sense of coyness.
What other special talents do you have?
She taps her flanks.
Only those 2. Trust me. And you?
I'm really lucky.
Her nose scrunches up.
What does a luck cutie mark even look like?
A 4-leaf clover?
Are you asking me or telling me?
You turn your head, looking down the way back at the main street of the festival. A stage catches your eye, a performance of some type.
Hey, look! I think they're gonna play music.
She turns her head to look, but quickly darts it in the other direction, back down the other, darker end of the street. You don't draw attention to it, but you feel like you should say something. Luckily, your eye gets caught by some pony getting up on stage before you have to think about a response.
Oh, it's a magic show.
You say quickly. Trixie Luna Moon pops on stage, posing and saying something you can't really make out. The crowd cheers. Octavia turns her eyes back towards it.
Let's watch it, I suppose.
She says, voice a little shaky. The pair of you walk up all the way in the back of the crowd. Trixie sends up some sparklers and sprouts of multicolored magic. It's like baby fireworks. Grumbling and groaning comes bubbling up from next to you. Looking down, you see Octavia struggling to see past the giant stallion in front of her. She plops down on her rear and resigns herself to not being able to see. If you hadn't noticed, she'd be having a bad time right now. But you don't need her permission to give her a helping hand. So you pick her up.
Whoa, whoa!
She squirms and kicks narrowly, hitting a mare in the head as you raise her up onto your shoulders.
Put me down!
She stomps her forehooves nervously down on the top of your cranium, warm belly pressing against the back of your head.
Oh, you're shaking like a kitten.
You coo, holding firmly onto her thighs so she stays in place.
Relax, I've got you.
You feel her shake her head, which gives you a smile. After a few seconds of watching the show, she does relax a bit more, leaning forward and resting more comfortably on your head. Too bad it's not very comfortable for you.
For my next trick,
Trixie begins leaning in and scanning the audience with her eyes.
I'll need 2 helpers.
Oh no.
Octavia begins.
How about you 2? The intrepid and tall lad and the gray lass atop his head.
Hell yeah!
You call, doing a fist bump, which nearly knocks Octavia off of you. The crowd hoots and hollers, wooing you on stage. The ponies part before you. You're a giant wading through them. You set Octavia off on the stage from your shoulders before clambering on yourself with help from Trixie.
Okay. What are your names, you 2?
Anonymous!
Octavia?
She says softly.
What was that?
Trixie asks again.
Octavia!
She replies, shouting now.
You got a fierce one, bud. Watch out.
The magician says.
Oh, I'm aware.
You reply, netting you a punch in the leg from Oct.
This staring pair is going to be under my spell for the next few minutes. They'll be my playthings.
Trixie puts on an evil laugh. She gestures for you two to stand about 5 meters apart. That's when you start to feel funny, and based on Octavia's face, she's feeling it too.
I just ensorcelled the dashing Anonymous and the graceful Octavia.
You mouth dashing to Octavia, who blows you a raspberry and looks away toward Trixie.
Anonymous now thinks he's a vampire, hungry for his love's blood.
Your body moves on its own, possessed by magic, stalking forward like a mummy until you grapple the frozen Octavia.
Ah, I've come for your blood, my dear.
You say loudly, putting on your best Nosferatu face. Trixie turns her head and quickly gives you a approving nod. You hold Octavia tight and close, bringing your mouth to her neck.
Not so rough.
She coos playfully in a whisper to just you.
Every pony is watching.
We're on stage.
You reply.
Act.
She rolls her eyes at you.
Oh no! The beast has me!
She cries. You try to smile through your magically enforced vampiric grimace before you can really sink your teeth and the magic freezes you. Trixie accepts the crowd's cheering approval with a bow and claps her hooves to release the two of you.
One final trick to torment these two. They'll now play the roles of charming prince and princess of snow.
A semi-translucent table is conjured up, and Octavia lifted onto it. Trixie produces an apple.
A bite of this, please.
She commands, handing it to Octavia. The musician, clearly not one versed in fairy tales, shrugs and takes a big chunk out of the blood-red apple. As if struck by lightning, she goes erect. Then her eyes become heavily lidded. With a woozy motion, she appears to faint and splays out on the table. The crowd collectively gasps, and you almost feel a pang of fear, but quickly realize it's a show.
Only a kiss imbibed with the power of true love will rouse her from a magical slumber.
Trixie winks over at you and discreetly gestures you forward. Stalking forward, you almost feel a bit nervous approaching Octavia, so you move slowly. Not to mention you need to build up the hype. She looks so peaceful, chest rising rhythmically. Slowly, short huffs of breath are all you hear. The sounds of everything else are nothing to you. Leaning in, you're bowing your head over her, nearly. Gently, you cup a hand around her neck, just below her ear. A few fingers brushing into her mane, so warm and soft. You pull her in for a kiss. Lips press against lips, soft, springy, and just slightly wet. She gasps as she wakes, startled by you and pulling back slightly. You jump back too, but she calms when she realizes it's you. Her cheeks flush. That's a good sign, right? There's a round of applause, and Trixie bids the pair of you farewell and directs you off stage as she resumes the show. Discreetly, you flick her a sizable tip, which she quickly catches with magic and responds with a wink of thanks. Octavia is a little shook as you pace off, but she seems collected enough.
So, did you enjoy our first kiss?
You ask, elbowing her. She huffs but doesn't respond at first. The pair of you continue idly making your way to the promised land, the Ferris wheel, gently spinning ahead.
Bit of a boring performance, I'd say.
What? That was amazing. I had a lot of fun being a vampire.
You exclaim.
Meh.
She shrugs.
It put me to sleep.
Oh,
You pat your chest.
that pun hurts me somewhere deep.
She lets out a merciless laugh, throwing her head back a bit. Pretty Maine for sure. You round the corner of the back street, facing right down where the amusement ride was. What a long line. There has to be at least 20 ponies waiting to get on the joyride.
Damn, so many.
Octavia pouts.
How are we gonna get on?
You look at the inattentive ticket taker and the distracted crowd of people talking between themselves more than focusing on who's next. The gears in your head start churning and you get an idea.
Come on, follow close.
You bow down to hide yourself just a bit, Octavia in tow. You sneak around the back as one group hands over their tickets. You're standing right under the next carriage to descend. You have Octavia up and slip her in and then climb in yourself. No one seems to notice. You're positively giddy as your carriage clicks into place. Octavia looking like she's about to burst with anticipation.
Hey, wait!
The stallion with the stubble says.
Did I take your ticket?
Yeah, pal, you're holding them.
He looks down at the street he pocketed from the previous group.
Oh, looky here. My bad.
I can't believe that worked.
Octavia whispers, leaning on you. You slyly slip an arm around her.
You might say it was really lucky.
Ah, your special talent at work.
She nuzzles your side. Warmth spreads in your chest, and not because of the little bundle of mare holding you. It's hard to keep your face straight and your smile down. The Ferris wheel rises up without a hitch.
Scared?
She asks.
Oh, I'm shaking in my boots.
Don't worry, I'm here to protect you.
So sweet.
As long as I'm not endangering myself.
So comforting.
Your words practically dripping sardonic tone off them. The glimmering lights below seem so far from the top. The thatched roofs of the houses so distant. Time freezes and you feel at peace.
This is nice.
Octavia says bluntly, eyes closed, hoof resting on your chest.
Yeah, it is nice.
A few minutes of silence pass. The Ferris wheel clicks back down slowly. You make sure to enjoy every second, lapping it up like water in a desert. You want to go for another ride, but once you reach the bottom, you realize Octavia is gently snoozing into your side. Your face feels slightly sore from smiling, and all that does is make you want to smile more. Carefully, very carefully, you lift her up and hold her in your arms. Boy, is she heavy. That's no joke. But she's finally getting rest, and you don't want to disturb that. Meticulously, you pace back to her home, taking the side streets where it was quiet and dark. Finally, you get her back home, and with some difficulty, you get the door open, and her into her bed. She does own a lot more clothes than you had expected, and they were all strewn about the floor, occupying the other side of her bed, her cello, resting in an indent in the mattress. You give her one last look and run a hand through her soft mane before turning away.
Hey.
She grumbles, her voice giving away that she was half asleep.
Yeah. Are you under an evil spell and in need of true love's kiss?
No, there's a chill and I want a blanket.
Chuckling softly, you nab one from a pile and cover her. As you pull away your hand, though, she reaches out and touches it with her hoof.
And now, a goodnight kiss.
As you wish.
You cup your hand around her neck and fulfill her request.